Thank you so much for turning into Beyond Should. I'm happy to have you here. I'm Lucy Reynolds, your host and the founder of the Murmuration Collective, where we empower women for lasting transformation in all facets of their life, both professionally and personally. And we get it. This is a dynamic and challenging time we're living through. And if you're feeling frustrated or out of control with your current work situation or life in general, and feel like something is just waiting for you just beyond your reach or clarity, then perhaps you might want to consider taking on a coaching engagement with us at the Murmuration Collective. We support women on the daily to wade through their confusion and find what they seek in the next chapters of their personal and professional lives. Our contact details are in the show notes. We look forward to meeting you and hearing what's going on for you. Now let's tune in together to this next episode of Beyond Should.
I couldn't even say it. And she was like,
Huh?
Did you say you're going to open an ice cream shop? And I was like, I think that's what I said. And terror in my eyes. And she's like, I'll help you. Women just want it to be perfect before they bring it out to the world. They will not share their ideas, their plans. And we're taught for generations since we're little girls that we have to be perfect and look perfect and say the perfect things. And I'm in all these rooms nowadays with these men who are entrepreneurs, and they're mostly all men. And they're like, I just woke up with the best idea.
Hi, I'm Lucy Reynolds, and welcome to Beyond Should, a podcast for women reinventing their lives, their careers, and owning their power. This is a show where you'll gain insights on how to stop doing what you should do and finally start naming, claiming, and pursuing what you deeply want. Today on Beyond Should, I have the privilege of welcoming Kim Malek, the co-founder of Salt and Straw, the cult favorite ice cream company known for its innovative flavors and community-driven ethos. Before launching the company, Kim spent many years in corporate America, skill building and honing her sights for what could be possible if she were ever to launch her own business, which she was noodling on for over 15 years. She took the leap into entrepreneurship, building Salt and Straw from the ground up while raising a family and proving that success does not have to come at the expense of personal life. Welcome, Kim, to the podcast. I am so excited to have you here. Your story is so powerful, an example of rewriting the rules and building a life beyond should. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Oh my God, what a treat. Well, let me actually just set the stage for everybody, all right? I'm going to tell you all a little story about how I know this amazing woman. The year is 1999 in Portland, Oregon. Kim and Lucy are both hired into the marketing team of the Adidas North America team. And the company's North America marketing headquarters are actually set up in a suburban business center in Beaverton. Nothing like the beautiful campuses of the ways these companies are sitting today. It was like a strip mall, I think.
Oh,
and
at
Kim,
best.
Oh, yeah. Kim and I sat near one another, and I remember
by the bathroom, I think.
I think so too. And yeah, concrete floor. It was just, there was nothing yummy about this place. And Kim and I sat next to each other in a cubicle, and this is how I remember the end of every day. So Kim would rise from her cubicle, dressed in all sorts of snappy. Y'all, she was snappy then, totally like kind of eccentric snappy, right? And I was more J. Crew snappy, not. And she would pick up her trendy bag, and this is the best part. Her cell phone, it was 1999. Her cell phone was the size of a brick and with an antenna that was stubby like a small little hot dog. And she would march out to her super old and cool Volvo sedan, and she would kind of flip and wave to us like, I'm off. And I'm like, there goes one badass friend. And I've admired you ever since. It was the cell phone and the Volvo and the handbag. Those are the things I remember.
Who was I even talking to? I don't know who I was talking to on that cell phone.
Every night, probably the same person marching out and giving us the wave of like toodaloo. So that was awesome.
This, okay. Guys.
So then fast forward 10 years or so, maybe 11, 12 years. Kim and I kind of part ways. She goes up to Seattle. She does some things. Jim and I are now at Nike, and we become expats living overseas in Amsterdam with our 2 young kids. And I hear this like update about Kim, and I was like, amazing. Kim would talk in the cubicles about one day I'm going to open an ice cream store. And I was like, that is so cute. Like, whatever. That's so cute. So then I hear Kim has started an ice cream store with her cousin. I was like, oh, now that is so dear. That is so like, literally, I am so dumbing down Kim's ice cream store idea. And oh my God, like, little did I know what this woman had cooking in her brain. And now we know it is this amazingly cultural relevant, social connected,
Mm-mm.
important, impactful, social justice organized hub in how many cities now?
Oh God, I should know that off the top of my head. All up and down the West Coast, New York, Miami,
Texas. We are
Vegas.
now in
Just
Texas.
started this week in Texas. Yeah. A lot of cities.
It's flying all over the country on Alaska Airlines.
Alaska and international now on Alaska, which we cannot believe.
And really zooming in to each location and what are the flavors, the essence of that community, and infusing that. Tyler
Hmm.
is such an amazing
Hmm.
creative in terms of culinary prowess, in terms of
My
ice cream.
cousin.
Your cousin Tyler. So it's just amazing. So
Thank you.
I am really glad that you dreamt bigger than a cute little ice cream store than what I did. And I have had the privilege of following Kim and her career over the last, how many years now? You started in 2011. We're
15
15 years.
years. We
Amazing.
literally just passed 15 years this week.
Congratulations.
It's commemorating it with this conversation with you.
Oh, I am very honored. Thank you so much. So could you just give our listeners, because I have a lot of amazing listeners and clients who are in corporate, who
Mhm.
have an idea, who are
Mm.
kind of like, but there is the like, the should of like, I should stay. We're going to get to that in a minute, but could you just give us a brief run through of like your
Mm.
career path? Because I think that's important for people to
Oh,
understand where you were and how you got to 2011.
yeah. Well, your story is so funny. And in all sincerity, I was only going to have that one ice cream shop. And no one believes me, but if you look at my business plan that I wrote, it was for one ice cream shop in Portland. And I wanted to quit running all over the world and be home and grounded and part of community. And that was
Mm-hmm.
my inspiration. So
Mm.
I was with you on the cute little ice cream shop.
And then suddenly
And
you took off. All
suddenly,
right.
well, so I'll come back to that in a
Yeah.
second. But yeah, so I started at Starbucks Coffee when there were 30 stores. That was the
Mm.
start of my career. And I remember when I graduated from college, my mom was really sad for me because she didn't think I got a very good job out of college because no one had heard of this little tiny coffee company and no one even knew,
Wow.
coffee in the United States was just nothing.
Right.
A styrofoam cup at, Folgers coffee. And so we
Mm-hmm.
were really creating something no one had ever heard of. And I was like, no, I believe in this guy, and we're going to make something out of this. And I was part of this little team who would go around and open new markets and,
Ah.
try to teach people what a latte was and introduce them to the idea of really what I was enamored with was this idea of third place. So it's not your home, it's not your work, it's this place
Mm-hmm.
where you can come and be for yourself. And what I loved being part of that team was seeing on the ground, working with the PTA and I
Mm-hmm.
had visions of in the Renaissance age, folks sitting on the sidewalk and, smoking and talking about changing the world and
Yeah.
bringing that to neighborhoods in the United States was so exciting to me where you could, meet people who lived in your community and just take some time for yourself. So that idea is
Mm.
what sparked in me the thought that an ice cream shop could have a similar role in people's
Yes.
lives. So it was in the mid 90s. I was with Starbucks and I ended up getting positioned in Portland, Oregon. And the ethos of Portland is probably the most community oriented city I've ever lived in. I mean, we don't have big, huge corporations here. It's very entrepreneurial, very grassroots. And I just, the idea of opening an ice cream shop where you could run into your neighbors and meet people in your community just became really clear to me at that time. And so that's what
Mm.
sparked this idea way back in the
Yeah.
90s. And I started working on it and looking for real estate. And part of my background is that my father went bankrupt running his own small company. And
Mm.
so as part of that process, I really just became terrified um, of what a small business can do to you.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad kind of lost everything, and we actually became estranged and never never to really come back together as a family ever again. So the stakes of opening my own company
Yeah.
and starting my own thing just felt really high. So
Mm.
I went back and worked at a bunch of Fortune 500 companies, Adidas,
Mm.
ended up at Adidas. I can remember the phone call. I was down at Yahoo in California and I wanted to come back to Portland. And you were actually the one, we were on the phone. I remember when I was interviewing and you were like, yeah, we got to get you back to Portland. We're going to figure this out. You said those words. I was like, okay, good. I got Lucy. I don't know this woman, but she seems to know what she's doing. I'm going to get on board with her.
And you
And
said yes.
ultimately, yeah, I was like, yeah, oh my God, it was so fun. I had this big job offer at Nike, but I wanted to come to Adidas because the work was more interesting. It was a smaller team. We got to do more. And so I ended up going there, went back to Starbucks and then on to Red, which was the company Bono started to raise money to end AIDS in Africa. So after that, I ended up, starting Salt and Straw. So that was sort of that career trajectory. I was working in marketing and always introducing new things to the world. So that was sort of my specialty.
I love what I hear in that is when people are thinking about pivoting into entrepreneurship, it's really leaning on sort of what have I learned up until this point, right? How have I been informed? What skill set do I have? And then also them finding the partners who have other skill sets that you don't have, like you needed Tyler, right?
Yeah.
And so I we'll get to all this in a minute, but what did it feel like though, to work for these Fortune 500 companies and always, you were creating new and innovative things for them. But was there a narrative? I'm curious. I don't know where I'm going with this. Was there a narrative that you're always giving it to big corporate? Was there a rumble there? I don't know. What was that like?
Yeah, not as for sure. I had a narrative because I had this business plan in my back pocket. And I think honestly, being early days at Starbucks and being part of that entrepreneurial spirit, I had the bug. Like I loved that. I loved creating something. I loved being at the table with a very small group of people saying, this is a good idea. Let's go do it. Let's try it. Let's change the world. That's my ethos.
Yeah.
And as I was part of these bigger organizations, it wasn't the giving it up to a big corporation that was bumming me out. It was more being in these big rooms where like, we're going to talk something to death. And, you all are very smart and have Ivy League, MBAs. And you all are going to make sure everybody knows it. And it just felt like it was very performative and soul sucking from that perspective. Like I just wanted to be doing good work and putting it out into the world and changing things. And I felt, and that's the entrepreneurial spirit at the end of the day, and so you can find that, I think, within big companies, especially if you, like, I would always gravitate toward something that was being launched or something new where, there was that element to it. But after a while, especially if it did well, it would get the attention of the broader organization and things would just kind of slow down and become really bureaucratic, which I'm not good at that. I feel like there's creators and there's maintainers and I'm not a good maintainer.
That's a really good thing to be knowing, to know about oneself is like, when does the work evolve out of something that feeds your soul? When does and this is to anyone who's listening, it's like, people might say like, I used to love this. And it's like, well, has it changed or have you changed or probably both? And so that's actually, we give our clients the permission to be like, it was great then, and maybe it's not so great now. And so what do we have now to help us inform us of the future?
That. I find it, I've always had that nature of like, and I'm done. Like, what's next? Like, I've done my part. I'm on to the next. It's just in my spirit. It's not that I'm not loyal. I mean, look at us. Like, I am so tightly connected to everyone I've ever worked with. I swear to God, like, just that's one of my superpowers. And I'm willing to go, like, even here at Salt and Straw, I'm always kind of scratching my head when we can all see like someone's time is run. Like you don't want to be here anymore. You've done what you could do. And people just fight it. Like, we hold on to that as our identity. And I'm like, it's okay. Like, I'm still here for you. You're still in the family. You can go do something new. Like, I think that can be really freeing if people can accept that as just part of the natural process.
Right. I mean, I definitely see
Yeah.
it at Nike. I mean, if you've been following along on the podcast, I do refer to
Yeah.
Nike a lot. It is where Jim and I spent, 20 years, and it is a brand that'll get hold of you, and it gets into your heart and your soul.
Ethos.
And it's really hard to break up with it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so because we sometimes let these brands become our identity, it took me forever to shed, like, hi, I'm Lucy Reynolds. I used to work at Nike, and now I've got my own small business. It's like, oh my God, please. Like, I would get revolted at myself. Like, come on, Reynolds. Like, what's your brand story here? It's not only that, there's more. So I do love the permission, if you're listening, to be like, is it time to maybe break up with that big corporate brand? It doesn't mean you can't go to another corporate brand, but it's like, what do you need? What do they need? And maybe it's, you negotiate, you have some discussions.
And it doesn't mean you can't go back. Like, I left Starbucks and then I came back. I mean, that's like, everything is open to you. Like, just follow what you know to be the next best thing and what you feel compelled to do, and things will come around, is my experience.
Okay, so let's talk about Starbucks. We had Yahoo, Adidas, Starbucks, Red. And we now know a little bit about you. And thank you for sharing that about your dad. And we are very much informed about our past. And actually, I'll just kind of give a little public service announcement about what is coaching versus therapy, if you're listening. So as a coach, our ICF code of conduct, code of ethics is we coach what is here now, and we move the individual forward into action for what they do want. And therapy takes the individual here, and maybe there's things to work through in the past to help inform the present to actually get you into action. As coaches, we do look a little bit into the past, as long as it's not therapy. We also always say to our clients, like, hey, who's on your board of advisors for your wellness? Like, you've got your women's health doctor, you've got your coach, you've got your therapist, you've got your PT, you've got everybody. And I'm making an assumption that there were a lot of shoulds that you had to work through. You already named them for us, about terrified of what a small business could do to you because of this lived experience that was very painful, it sounds like, and still disappointingly sad. I'll just leave it there with your dad and you. And so you were butting up against, like, that informed moment in your life. How did you shed the shoulds of getting into, I'm going to frickin' do this. I'm going to go big. What happened? How did you work through that? Because those barriers, those fears are what prohibit a lot of people from being their most authentic selves. And it's a really important time in your life to work through those, either with a therapist and or a coach, so that you can, both, so that you can get to the next amazing things. What shoulds were keeping you small from doing this, and how did you shed them?
Yeah, I mean, I remember the first time I told someone I was going to do this. The backstory was, I was living in Seattle and I was about to move to New York for Red. And I came back to Portland for a birthday party, and I met a guy in a bar, which doesn't usually end well, but we are still together and we have two children.
Public service announcement. This is the best story ever. Okay, keep going. Go.
So we meet in a bar. I'm still looking for an apartment in New York, and one thing leads to another, and I decide to move back to Portland instead. And I remember I'm living at his house. We're sitting at the kitchen table, and out falls the New York Times Magazine. And on the front page was the story about an ice cream company in San Francisco. And you know that moment where you're like, that was my idea. I've been working on this forever. And why didn't I do it? And I was ranting and raving and fists at the heaven. And I remember Mike, who's an anesthesiologist, and he's the most calm person you ever will meet, sitting just listening to me. And at the end, he was like, well, gosh, you seem really excited about this. Why don't you do it? And it was just one of those moments where I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't have a job right now. I just moved to Portland. My business plan specifically was to open in Portland, ironically. And I get it out and show it to him. And I just like the wheels started moving to get going on this. And I remember I was sitting. One of my old colleagues was in R&D, and I don't know how to make ice cream, and so I had breakfast with her one day at the dockside, which is where they found the paperwork of in the trash of Tanya Harding, like the documentation of her plan to knock out Nancy Kerrigan.
Stop.
So we're at. I know. So we're at the dockside having breakfast, historic Portland history. And I was like, yeah, so Sarah's sitting across from me, another woman. And I was like, Sarah, been working on something. I'm going to be doing something, and it's big and it's probably not a great idea. And this goes on and on and on. And she's just sitting there looking at me like, just say it. And finally I literally went, I'm going to open an ice cream company. Like, I mumbled it. I couldn't even say it. And she was like,
huh?
Did you say you're going to open an ice cream shop? And I was like, I think that's what I said. And terror in my eyes. And she's like, I'll help you. And I think 2 days later, I was in her kitchen and she was helping me come up with flavors. And so I think finding people like Mike and Sarah who were like, yeah. And for me, every time I talk to a woman who has an idea or thinks she wants to be an entrepreneur, I mean, God damn it, if we don't have like in science, in medicine, in politics, in sports, in business, women just want it to be perfect before they bring it out to the world. They will not share their ideas, their plans. And we're taught for generations since we're little girls that we have to be perfect and look perfect and say the perfect things. And I'm in all these rooms nowadays with these men who are entrepreneurs, and they're mostly all men. And they're like, I just woke up with the best idea and I can't wait to blast you all with this idea. And I'm like, for fuck's sake, like I took 15 years to try to even mumble the words, and you know, and I just say to women, like, we've got to be at the table, share. It doesn't hurt. It didn't hurt to say those words. Like, people want to help you. Yes. And, you know, we don't want to accept help. We want everything to be perfect. And when I started to like break down those barriers, everyone showed up to help me. Like, I couldn't even, it just was, took on a life of its own, that everyone was so excited about it happening that it just was, you know, more successful than I ever could have imagined. But it was me putting it out into the world and then accepting help. I think were the two steps.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Beyond Should. I'd love to take a few minutes to tell you a little bit more about the Murmuration Collective, which powers our Beyond Should podcast. You see, we set out to create the Murmuration Collective as a place for women to come together to feel supported in all aspects of their lives, either through one-to-one career and leadership coaching, through day-long salon gatherings that we've created, and through our unique immersive retreats. So let me pause here and tell you a little bit more about our immersive retreats. They range in time from 3 to 5 nights in length and are set in some of the most unique places around the world. We've hosted retreats at the House in the Wild in the Masai Mara in Kenya, in the heart of the French wine country. And our signature immersive is our annual retreat to Trujillo, Spain, in the stunning in Casa de Gracia. Here in the U.S., our primary retreat location is on the shores of Flathead Lake in Montana. We've also hosted in Bend, Oregon, and in Durango, Colorado. These immersive retreats allow small cohorts of women. We range in size from about 6 to 16, depending on the location, and we allow women to escape the craziness of their professional and personal lives, to slow their roll in a beautiful setting and be guided by our coaching curriculum that is grounded in neuroscience, immersed in nature, and where the cohort is surrounded by other women who have your back. Together, we will guide you through a unique and tailored coaching curriculum to help you chart your North Star to your next chapter in life and get you into action to make it come to fruition. You see, every immersive retreat is coupled with 6 accountability virtual coaching calls for you and your cohort, and it's stretched over 6 months right after the retreat, which allows you to bring your next professional or personal chapter to life. So what are you waiting for? Well, I have to offer you our fall retreat will be in Flathead Lake in Montana, September 23rd through the 26th. Registration is open and spots are filling up. If you use the code BeyondShould10, you will receive 10% off your Montana retreat if you book by August 19th. So come alone, as many women do, and you'll leave with lifelong friends. Or grab a friend, a colleague. Heck, bring your whole running crew. I don't care. Perhaps your book club. The more, the merrier. Because designing your next chapter in life is not a solo experience. It's way more fun to do it with other badass women at your side. I'm happy to chat with any of you about these retreats prior to your signing up. If you want to reach out, my contact details are in the show notes. So I hope I see you in Montana in September. And don't forget to check out all that we offer at the Murmuration Collective through our website. Link in the show notes. While you were telling the story, I wrote down sharing helped unlock it and accepting help. And so I love those when we say it out loud, when we share, and then it's finding people who are yes and people, right? And you can also, folks, you'll know right away if somebody's like, I don't know, like that is their lived experience that they
Which
would
I
never
got a
do
lot of
that.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's to surround yourself. And again, going back to the board of advisors, like who are going to be the whiteboard people with you? Who are going to be the people that are going to brainstorm, who are going to be in this visionary state and like go wildly big. But then you guys can also come back to like, okay, and what's real and what's practical and sort of this accordion of like, but it's people who have that mindset to be able to do that. And then I also heard you had to get through some, the safe, like when did safe stop feeling safe, right? Like you had all these jobs. What did you did something really radical to get this started. And what is your advice about what your radical move was?
Don't do what I did. It is crazy. So it was 2000, probably 2010, which we were in a recession and I didn't have any money. I mean, my family, my father went bankrupt. We don't have any money. And so I have this business plan and I am in all earnest meeting with these banks. Like someone's going to loan me the money. I just figured they would. It wasn't that much money. I can't remember how much it was, but I was like, it's less than a house. And, so I met with all these banks and I got really good feedback, but no one was going to give me money during a recession to open an ice cream shop in Portland, Oregon. Total shocker. That was not happening.
How rude.
I know. I'm like, wait, what? So I'm sitting, I remember at this little home office in Mike's house, and I was looking for something in my file cabinet and I came across this file that said 401k. And since I had been at all these big companies, day one, I was investing in my 401k. I was like, I have money. I have money. It's right
Look
here.
what I found.
I found some money in my file cabinet. So I cashed in my 401k. I had a house in Seattle. I sold my house. Wasn't the best time to sell my house, but I made a little money. I had a garage sale. I maxed out my credit card. Like I put all my money together to get this started. And I remember I was right before we were going to start, I was like 40,000 short. So I didn't know what I was going to do. And I was on the phone with the city of Portland. They had like a business startup fund. And they're like, well, we'll give you a loan for 40,000. But we need some collateral. Like, do you have a property or a car? I'm like, I don't have anything. I have sold everything to get to this. I don't even have a pair of golf clubs. I sold them at the garage sale. And Mike was hearing me talk and he said, tell him, hold on a second. He said, you can use my house for collateral. I'll put my house down.
Oh my God. Wow.
For $40,000 loan. I paid it off in under a year and he got his house back. But I think, finding again just these people, and I have had this my entire career. To this day, I'm about to interview this guy who's going to move across the country and give up everything to come and help us with the next chapter of this company. Like I find these people who stand up for what I believe in and join me at these moments and put their lives on the line to be part of this. And man, is that an honor? It's like super exciting. It makes me get up earlier in the morning. And
I can see, you guys can't see her, but she has this is quite emotional, right? This is people, first of all, you trusted yourself let's talk about that for a minute. You knew you could freaking do this. You were like, there's no fucking way I'm going to fail, right? Tell me about that.
I
Or what, maybe actually the question is, what if you did fail? What was the worst thing that could happen?
Yeah, I mean, I always said, I remember there are nights when I would wake up in the middle of the night gasping for air, like, I can't breathe. And I would wake Mike up. I'm like, what have I done? Like, here I am, I'm gonna do everything's on the line. And what I appreciated was like the thinking and the conversations we had was never like, it'll all be okay. Cause it's not always okay. It's
I
just
love
not. I lived through it with my dad. And instead, I took the approach of like, I will figure something else out. Like, I can go make more money. I can get another job. I have to do this right now. I have no choice. Like, I am so compelled to do this. And I believe so much in this idea. And I will figure something out if I need to later. That was
And
kind of the way, my mantra.
I love that. So the stake in this for you, if you could bottom line it, like I was compelled, I had to do it. And what was it? It wasn't just ice cream. It was what?
Oh, yeah, that's a
Right?
great question. Like for me, it was back to those days when I would see a coffee shop open
Yes.
and like I just the entire dream for me was to create a place where I can remember in 1996, sitting on the sidewalk cafe in Portland, Oregon, a Torrefazione with Thomas Lauderdale, who was just starting Pink Martini. And he was smoking clove cigarettes, and we were drinking coffee and talking about, in our late 20s, how we're going to change the world.
Right.
And to me, like that gathering place of people coming together and meeting each other, and he's introducing me to people on the street, like I wanted to put more of that into the world. I wanted the world to have more places where people would collide and come together and change the world as a result in bigger, small ways. And I thought an ice cream shop would be a good way to do that. So that was what was compelling me.
Community, a place to brainstorm, a place to share, a place to be vulnerable. And you guys, fast forward 15 years later, in the Portland, Oregon store, you guys have just had a wedding. A couple
You
has
saw
gotten
that?
married.
Oh
Of course I saw it. If you're not following Salt and Straw on Instagram or Kim, it is a story of life. It is way more than an ice cream store. Tell the story of the wedding really fast, please.
Oh my gosh. Well, it was just in the printed edition of the New York Times wedding section, Lucy.
What? Oh my God. You guys, you got to follow along. You got to follow along.
Oh, it's beautiful. So this couple met in line at Salt and Straw, and which people do all the time. I mean,
you wait in line for it. How long? I mean, people wait like 45 minutes for an ice cream.
I mean, we try to move fast, but that's what they're not on their phones.
Oh, right.
They're talking because they're like, what? Wait, like, are these candy crickets, or are they actually candied crickets? Like they're talking about, it's almost like going on a little trip, a little adventure, we call it.
And like, what's your favorite flavor?
Yeah.
And like, have you tried this? And
yeah, and they want to introduce, and so it's a moment in time where people aren't on their phones, they're talking to strangers, which is what I always wanted more than anything. And people have gotten job offers. Again, like there's every day people get to the front of the line, they're like, I'm going to buy a scoop for this guy, I just met him, and he's having a hard time. I mean, my cousin tells this great story. He spent a bunch of time sampling with a man and a woman, and she came back later and was like, I've been estranged from my son for 10 years, and this was our neutral meeting ground today, and we finally have reconnected over ice cream, and thank you. Like, it's just a lot of special things happen. So this couple got married at the shop ultimately. Like, we had this all call where people could apply and tell their love stories and how Salt and Straw was involved. And just as a side story, you just made me remember, I was walking down the street in front of our store in Miami, and this guy was like, are you the owner? And like, how the heck do you recognize me? I got to be careful what I do. But anyway, he told me this story that he met his now wife. He was living in LA. She was living in Phoenix, and they flew to Seattle to have a date at Salt and Straw because they thought it'd be a neutral place to meet. So, I mean, like a lot of love stories. We need to have like a coffee book someday, table book about all these beautiful love stories. So they got married there, and it was amazing. Their whole family was there, and Tyler officiated it, and it was
Stop.
just sort of a, I know.
And what kind of
Yeah.
wedding cake? I just got to know. What did they
Oh my
choose?
God.
What flavor?
What strawberry white chocolate tiramisu ice cream cake. It's really amazing. Really
Wow.
amazing.
Wow. Amazing. Well, thank you. So you
Beautiful.
were able to, let's celebrate bringing something that is really bringing communities together, like last week in Dallas, or was it Fort
Uh,
Worth? Which one? You're doing
yeah.
both. You're doing
Yeah.
both. But which
Both.
was
Both.
last week was Dallas?
Fort Worth, Dallas was the first, and then Fort Worth was last week. Yeah,
And
second.
like, this is what's happening is even companies that are Texas based
Yeah,
companies, like the Tecovas cowboy
Frida,
boots,
me
like
too.
my
Oh,
favorite boots in the world, gives all this, what do you call them? What do you call your employees?
scoopers.
Scoopers. Everybody got personalized Tecovas boots. Like,
They got a stamp with a salt and straw stamp on them. They're so
amazing. Amazing.
amazing.
So I guess what I love and appreciate is that the values are deep. The
Hmm.
mission is strong. It wasn't always like that. And I think I want to go back to
Hmm.
the letting go of perfection of women before we step into entrepreneurship, and the action of getting into action, even if you're not quite ready. Like, how did you build those people around you? So we know we had Mike, we had, what was your friend's name?
Sarah. Hmm.
Sarah, you brought Tyler in, but like, would you love women to shed around getting into action, even if they have to keep their day job, right? To keep the
Yeah.
lights on. We just had an episode where, sometimes your names are in lights and sometimes you just got to work to keep the lights on. Shanna
Yeah.
Patel talks about that. Any shoulds that you'd love to give women to shed around tinkering and bringing their ideas to fruition?
Yeah, I mean, I think we said at the start, like my idea wasn't to have 50 some stores in major cities across the United States. Like I wanted to open this one shop. And
Mm.
I think I just have a real philosophy in life in general around not boiling the ocean. Like what is the next thing you need to do? Just the very next thing to
Mm-hmm.
do this one action. And the
I
rest
love
of it
that.
doesn't have to be perfect. Like I'm going to figure out then the next bit, then the next, then the next. And I still do that to this day with my team. And people get overwhelmed and stuck, and even arguing about these big issues. And it's like I was just in a meeting the other day, and like, are the sales numbers right? And I hear this and it's like, okay, fine, that's a big issue, but what are you really having a problem with? Like, what today are you having trouble doing your job?
Mm.
What's stopping you? Like, let's talk about that. I mean, sure, we got to change our IT systems and fix all this, and it's going to be hard and it's frustrating, but just what is the one thing that you really need right now to take your
Mm.
next best step? And I think whenever I boil it down to that, all the big, scary, overwhelming things, like they're there, just leave them.
Yeah.
They're not going away, and I'm doing this. And I think that action and having a plan, I will say that too, because I think while I don't want to sit in the world of perfecting my plan for 20 years ever
Mm-hmm.
again, having a plan is incredibly important. I always go back to that analogy of like, great painters, like you want to be able to paint a still life and then you can go do crazy things, but start with a great plan. And I think I had one.
Thank you for that. So, what today are you having trouble with in terms of executing, right? I love that,
Yeah.
and then have a plan. So,
Hmm.
I'd love to move us into, I can hear a lot of women perhaps listening that are like, there's no way that you can have a normal, or God knows what normal looks like, but like, how can you have a sane life that has a family? By the way, we're going to talk about this, like, and go into entrepreneurship, right? I mean, women are having a hard enough time
Yeah.
working in corporate America with kids. Spoiler alert, you guys, I'm going to say it right here. Not only did she launch in 2011, but she adopted 3 kids in 2013 or 2012
Yeah.
I don't know if that was part of your business plan, but
It wasn't part of the plan.
what does entrepreneurship give you that maybe people don't understand? Like, what shoulds of entrepreneurship are
Mm.
out there that you would love to help dispel?
Yeah, I saw this study once and I was like, yes, 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 yes. And it was saying that entrepreneurs and women who own their own business actually tend to have a higher satisfaction with their ability to mother and be a parent. And I think we learned a lot during the pandemic about schedule flexibility, but the study pointed to that. It's like, you own your own dang schedule. Like, yeah, I work an ungodly amount. I always have, though. No matter what job I had, I did. I'd like to work. I find it fun and
You were
interesting.
wired
And
like
so I
that.
work a
Yeah.
lot. But when you are your own boss, like if you need to take off and go to the doctor or, be there for your kids' play performance or start late every day to take them to school, like you do have that flexibility in a lot of ways. I mean, you do and you don't because you're also the only one. And so you've got to do it. You can't rely on, this whole big team all the time. So there's pluses and minuses, but I do think that flexibility is really helpful. And then for me anyway, like my kids are part of this experience. Like since they were little, I would bring them along with me, whether it's to work or on trips. Now my oldest is almost 18. He wants to study business and go into commercial real estate because he's been on a million real estate tours with me all over the United States. And he's actually pretty good. Like we'll look at a site and the broker will be showing us around and he's like, I don't think so, Mom. Like, and then they'll tell me why. And which I know North, when she's with Kim Kardashian and the designers probably don't appreciate hearing her point of view. I'm sure that the Jamari is the same way. They don't really want to hear him, but like he knows. And so I think there's also all these great benefits of not only them learning about business and how to work with people, but also seeing their mom be really successful. And like, I can do that too. And the women for my boys, like the women in my life deserve that respect and space to do that. And for my daughter, I think setting that example is really important. So there's so many benefits and it's really hard, but it's totally doable.
So yeah, what I'm hearing is like for you, entrepreneurship equaled freedom to define what you wanted your life to look like. And you set the boundaries and you stuck with them. I'm sure they evolved as the children evolved, but that you got to set what the boundaries were. You got to set what the schedule was because you were the one that it would be impacting. And your business was the one that it was impacting. So what I hear is it gave you power to choose how it was going to look instead of somebody else, your direct report, your manager or your VP say, no, this is the way we work. We have to conform to a corporate, way of being. You, as you started out, were like, no, this is the way I get to run my business. This is the way I want to parent. And so there was freedom and choice, I think, to be able to carve out a life. Wasn't easy, but it was your crazy that you created. So if it didn't work, you could change it. Talk to me a little bit about that.
I think that's right. And I will just say one note about that, though, when it comes to the way we operate here. Being part of a scaling company is really demanding for everyone that's involved. But I try as hard as I can to set a kind of culture where working parents, both men and women, can be really proud, and people beyond parents, of taking care of their own personal lives.
Yeah.
Like when I leave to go do something, I tell everyone, like, I'm leaving. Jamari has a soccer game and I'm leaving. Like, I don't like quietly sneak out or hope no one notices. I got to deal with a sick kid. I'm going to work out.
You're
I have a therapy
normalizing
appointment.
care.
Yeah. So everybody can, and I tell everybody that, like, to set what you need to do, set it and go do it. And we respect that as a company. And I would just, the benefits that I experience from that, like, why should it only be for the owner? Like, we can create that culture, I think. And it's hard and we're not perfect, but I can't be everywhere at once. And so wherever I am, I try to give my utmost attention and focus when I'm with my kids, when I'm with my colleagues, when I'm on my own and doing my own thing, which has always been the thing that suffered the most. But being fully present, I think, has been my hack to kind of making it all work.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Beyond Should, just one of the many ways we are working to support women from all walks of life. And we know personally, and from what our clients are sharing with us on the daily, that this is a dynamic and challenging time we are living through. And if you are feeling frustrated or out of control with your current work situation or life in general, and feel like something is just waiting for you, just beyond your reach or clarity, but you can't put your finger on what it is, then perhaps you might consider taking on a coaching engagement with us at the Murmuration Collective. We are professionally trained and certified leadership, career, and life coaches. We support women like you to wade through the confusion and find what they are truly seeking in the next chapters of their personal and professional lives. Our contact details are in the show notes. We look forward to meeting you, hearing your story, and seeing how we might be able to support you further. Be well. I want to get back to your health that you just alluded to.
Yeah.
But what's coming up for me, and I want to walk back a little bit what I said about corporate, is the corporate culture is set, and maybe the VP says, or the SVP or the board is, this is the way we're going to do things. But I'm actually thinking that what I love about working with my clients lately is actually projecting, what do you need in order to be successful? We make a ton of assumptions that it can't be this way because my boss doesn't do it this way or the culture doesn't do it this way. But what I really love working with women is giving them the power to almost think about themselves as, X company is lucky to have me.
Yeah.
And in order to have me, this is what I need in order to be my best self. So there's a redesign. If you're feeling like the structure isn't working for you and it's stuck, before you bail, make sure you have given the organization the due process of trying to meet you where you are, because there's such just new information. If they say no, well, then there's a misalignment of values. And then you can be like, okay, I'm leaving, but please don't leave until you've actually ask for what you need. I think a lot of women don't ask for what they need. And a lot of our needs are different than, say, our male counterparts. But I think that's also
right.
evolving as more and more men are taking on caregiving roles. We, by modeling it, might actually model it for our male counterparts to ask for what they need as now single dads or caregivers of their aging parents. So please, you all, I think a should that I'd love us to shed is think that the people that you work with are naturally creative, they're resourceful, and they have what they need to have big conversations with you.
Yeah.
And the information you get back is information. And then you get to choose to decide what to do with that. What's coming up for you when I say that?
Yeah, I just the whole, she was so selfless, that you go to someone's funeral and the biggest compliment, especially for women, is that she was just so selfless. Oh, she just gave it to everyone. I mean, that is just the worst thing. I hope no one says that about me. I mean, of course you want, I am hopefully giving in more ways than one can imagine, but truly being selfless is not something I aspire to. I think taking care of yourself is your job. And it took me a long time to figure that out.
So let's talk about that. What did you shed to get there?
It had to come down to me. I luckily just have been very, very pretty healthy my whole life. And and I was pretty active, running marathons and doing things like that, swim team. And so things just came naturally to me, and I wasn't very intentional about taking care of myself. And I was the person at work who never asked for what I needed. I just, went 110%, doing everything I could to go above and beyond. And I had this, what I call it, this idea of she'll be okay. And that was me. I don't need to worry about her. Let's make sure everything gets taken care of. She'll be okay. She doesn't need sleep. She doesn't need proper nutrition.
Oh my gosh, you really third personed yourself. You literally disembodied yourself, and you would look at her as that woman. She'll be fine.
Yeah, she'll be fine.
Holy shit,
she's
that's
fine.
Powerful.
She's fine. She doesn't need much. And, I think the big wake up call for me, sadly, was going through menopause. And all of a sudden, I physically was not okay. I couldn't even wash my hair because my shoulders were hurting. I had joint pain. I could go on and on.
You and I did go on and on when we last met. You guys, we popped off about menopause.
I will. Okay. And it was so shocking to me because I'm like, oh, she's not okay anymore. I can't just ignore her because she's falling apart. I can't function anymore.
Yeah.
And so I started to claw away at it, and it was like, oh, for fuck's sake, like I gotta lift weights, I gotta lose weight, I gotta get sleep, I have to eat certain things. Like, and the more I learned and the more I did and the better I
Mm,
felt, I was like, God dang it. I wish I could go back in time. This is my biggest regret, and like take care of her this whole time, because
mm,
I am so much more powerful as my full self and
mm-hmm.
tending to me and my body, than I ever was as this shell of a person kind of in service of everybody else.
Yes, giving it all away.
Hmm.
So what I hear is, we don't tell anybody what they should do around here. The invitation is to, and I actually want to bring her back into you, and it's really get to know thyself and be
Hmm.
thinking about, what does she need now? What do I need now? Even if I was 35, what do I need now at 40, 45? And it's really checking in with self. And I would love to rebrand selfishness. I think that that is
Yeah.
the most loving thing, is to take care of self. We've weaponized selfish, and certainly women, if they are selfish, they're horrible. And
Hmm.
and the way we even say it, it's kind of like
Hmm.
should. I always say, when
Hmm.
you say the word should, and you know that's somebody else's value, because your mouth and your eyes and your nose wrinkle up, like, should I should go out to lunch with her, or I should do
Yeah.
that. That's somebody else's value. What do you want to do? What do you get to do? And then selfish. Like, I'm trying to actually, like, have my
I
face
love
be
that.
enlightened. Like, I
Yeah.
am so selfish today. I'm so selfish, instead of like, oh, I'm so selfish. Like, I really want us to go uptick, you guys, with the word selfish. Like, I get to be selfish today. I
Yeah.
get to,
I get to
I
be.
get to heal thyself. And when I heal
Hmm.
thyself, then there's more of me to give. Y'all can have
And
more.
well, and it's so like I find such peace in the moments of like I'm working out, I'm doing the supplement, like, and all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, what have I been working so hard for? And this idea that I'm going to reach this state someday where I have it all, or I don't know, I don't even know what. I don't think I had a vision of like someday I'll get there. And it's like, oh, it's available to me right now. I can have that peace right this minute if I choose to take it. And it just, I don't know, it's given me a whole different level of intention in my broader life, which I'm really grateful for
Same.
and wish I had found earlier.
So yeah, same. And Kim knows this, and many of you know this, but I'm in the throes right now of watching my father pass. And my
Nah.
brother and I are literally looking at his health and all of the things that, and he was a very healthy man, but the things that happened to him from 50 to 84, and how his body has reacted to life. And it's almost like I'm looking into a crystal ball, and it's a warning sign. It's
Wow.
like,
Wow.
how do you want to take control of what is here now? And I think we're actually getting to live in a very awakened sense of like, what we do now pays dividends for when we're 84.
That's right.
And
That's right.
so Mark and I talk about, we can choose to do something about it. And
Yeah.
there's power in that. There's motivation in that. There's selfishness in that, because I certainly don't want to end my life like he is, my poor sweet dad, nor do I want to be a burden to my dad's. Not a burden, but I know if he were well enough and awake enough, he would say, I'm being such a burden. And I would be like, no, this is love. But
Yeah.
it is, I mean, there's
Oh.
financial burdens, there's emotional burdens, there is spiritual burdens. And so, how do we get to put on our oxygen mask now? If you're listening at 35, you get to do that too. You get to choose the plan. It goes back to entrepreneurship. You said,
Yeah.
have a plan. And
Yeah.
this is part of being responsible for your best life, is to have a plan. And that includes all of you, all aspects of who you are. And you can't third person yourself, right? You can't she her
That's
away.
right. And I also feel like what you're saying is really true. I also think that you get the immediate benefits now too. So you're not
Yes.
only banking it for the future,
Thank
but
you.
what I'm
Yeah.
getting right now in my life is really surprising. And I remember I was sitting on the acupuncture table dealing with all this joint pain, and I was like, why am I even having this joint pain? I can't figure out, I haven't done anything different. And she was like, oh, it's probably menopause. And I was like, someone why didn't someone tell me this? Like I will do what I'm supposed to do, but no one told me.
Right.
And
Right.
so I am telling you right now, anyone who is listening, like, we are supposed to be taking care of our health. We are supposed to be lifting weights. We are supposed to, and I know you're not supposed to say shoulds, but these are things that are like, that are imperatives in our life. And
They're want tos. We have to want to
yeah,
be well. Like,
yeah,
I think that's
yeah,
the thing. We want to be
yeah.
well. We get to be well. And actually, we're living in
Hmm.
a time that has the science about it. And we also want our daughters to know about this
Hmm.
sooner than we
Yeah.
found out about it. We have Michelle Jacobs coming on from Womanness, and it's a whole platform around products for women in menopause. We
Hmm.
had last year, we had the founder of MIDI Health on. So this
Yes.
is
Love it.
an opportunity that we get to do if we want to take responsibility. And some people could say how the measures that you take to heal thyself are selfish. They're not informed. And so you need to surround yourself similarly to you sharing with
Yeah,
Mike and
that's
your
right.
girlfriend. We need to talk about this, and we are
Yeah.
talking about it, and share,
Yeah.
like you and I, when we sat at Starbucks and we riffed and like, what are you taking and how are you doing it? And how's that impacted you? And, might I want to do that? And you and I were just sharing, and to get the privilege of sharing with friends, what's working for them may not work for you, but you at least get to inform yourself.
That's right. And we'll walk around and talk about, we can't get funding as women, and we want to change the way that the world works. But we have to, as part of that conversation, change the way we look at our health and taking care of ourselves. And this idea of being selfless to me is just a lot of bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, great. I love it. This is why we're bringing in people to say truths, right? That is your truth. Somebody else might not agree with it. That is her truth. She gets to choose that, but I'm right in alignment with you. I believe that is bullshit. I would love to talk about you, the woman now who's leading this company, as opposed to how you might have led in your corporate career or early on. What are you looking at? If you could look at your younger self as a leader versus now, like the people pleasing, perhaps, I don't know,
Mhm.
versus like having more clarity. What is the ways that you've evolved as a leader? And are there shoulds that you wish you'd shed earlier on how
Mm,
you are leading? Or maybe it's just a beautiful
mhm.
evolution. What's going on with your way
Yeah.
you're leading now as a female founder?
Yeah, I would say, I said earlier that people have showed up for me in pretty important ways that have fueled my business and my life. And I think that, I can think of so many examples from, my relationship with Howard Schultz, from, Starbucks and his support, and some of our investors, and, even my non husband, Mike. And for me, the evolution has been like, how do I have those people at the table and still stay true to what I know is the right thing to do, and
Mm,
set boundaries and lean into those hard conversations. I feel like I spent a lot of time over the past 15 years trying to accommodate and appease people in ways maybe that would still stay true to what I knew was right, but maybe not lean into those hard conversations as readily as I need to. And now in this chapter, I'm much more at the table doing that and saying, like, no, that doesn't work for me, or, what I want to do. And, here's why, and where we can go from here. And I'm finding it to be just really curious. Like, I'm curious about your point of view. Here's what I think. And we often will get to a place, where we just neither of us expected, which I think is really great. But I'm not wasting as much time and energy kind of dancing around the issue, and maybe kind of trying to prove them wrong in the background, but not really coming out and saying it, things like that. So I think it's been fantastic. And even within the company, that idea of speaking really hard truths with love is just my total mantra. And I work with such incredible people. They want to hear it and they can hear it. And as long as they're hearing it with great respect. And I walk into these conversations, and one hack that I really love is, I'm really friendly and I love knowing about people's personal lives and blah, blah, blah. But when I'm going to have a hard conversation, I walk in and I don't do that. Like I start off like, this is going to be a little bit hard. And we start. And it's been a really great hack for me to go there with great, care and attention. And again, it goes back to taking care of me and having that voice be heard and really spending my life energy on what I know is the right thing to be working on.
I hear several things in that. As you guys are listening to me, you're getting a sense from my coaching and how I play back what I hear. So what I hear is clarity of voice, articulation. I think as I was younger, I would use a lot of words. I would try to soften. And
Yes.
we have a tool that we use with our clients we don't even say the word difficult or hard conversations. We refer to intentional conversations. And we get really clear with our clients around, say you need to have a disagreement with somebody about the direction that you're going to be going in. It's like really getting clear on what's the bigger purpose of this conversation. What's at stake here that matters? And what I loved in you said that you and somebody might actually get to a really beautiful place that you might not have actually gotten to. A lot of people start their conversations or intentional hard conversations with what's the outcome. And so you might have in the former you gotten to, we're not going to do this. That's the outcome. And you're going to start
and I
there.
gotta force it. And I'm afraid and I'm mad and I'm, no.
I love, thank you for bringing in all those emotions, because let's just use that conversation. What I hear now that you do is you start with the bigger purpose. What's important here that matters? We call that the stake. That's like the 10,000 foot, like there's got to be a better way than doing it a certain way. And there's also mutual respect that the other people have a perspective and being open to hearing that. So like get to the stake, like what's really important here. It's not that we're not going to do this. It's like, there's got to be a better way. We're going to use that as an example. And then the next step in our tool is like, how do you want to be? How do you literally want to show up? So your little hack was like, I'm not going to be my usual bubbly, effervescent, like friendly, like making it okay for everybody else. I heard chose to, at this particular moment, be like, I'm going to be straight up. I'm going to be, maybe I'm going to tell myself I'm going to be more concise. I'm going to allow for space because there's creativity in that. So when I do this, I'm like, okay, Luce, you got to self-manage the shit out of this. Like, right? Just don't go to your usual default, because for the sake of the stake, like how do you want to be serves that stake. And then the next thing,
I love that.
The next part is, how do I want it to land on the person I'm talking to? If I want them to be like, wow, she's going to say no, but she's actually really interested in what I have to say. They might be like, the impact you might want to have is like, oh, they're a little surprised, like, oh, a little like, oh, invited. So if you don't see that impact that you are intentionally giving or wanting in the conversation, if it's not happening, I say to my clients all the time, you probably did something to trigger them. Now, we also say 95% of a person's reaction has to do with them, but were you responsible for the 5% that might have triggered them? So I often say, like, did you step in it? Like, did you misstep? And if so, go clean it up. Right in the middle of it, be like, you know what? I can tell that you're feeling nervous about this. That's not at all my intention. I was really hoping that you would feel like I wanted to co-create with you on this. And then all of a sudden, somebody's prefrontal cortex is no longer hijacked.
That's right.
Yeah. And then what I heard in your example is like, the outcome might be wildly different than either of us knew if we weren't so binary on what the conversation has to be, or like, I'm going to muscle it through. There's possibility. So just one, we'll put it into our show notes, but literally it is around stake being impact and outcome. And it causes our clients to pause to gain clarity around what is really important here. And I hear that in an evolved leader in you is like how you're showing up for big conversations.
I love that. And I guess for me, the word that comes to mind as I'm hearing you describe that is like entering into these conversations with a sense of curiosity instead of fear. Like I have a point of view that I'm going to share with you, and I'm curious about where this is going to bring us, what you think, what my reaction is. I'm not afraid. I mean, I'm not like trying to force a foregone conclusion, but
Right.
just to enter into it with a sense of curiosity, I
I
think
love
is
that.
really helpful.
I love that. Are there any other ways that you're showing up differently than you used to, that you could help women in terms of thinking about, because at any point in our careers, we're a leader. We are leaders. We are leading ourselves forward. We're leading our teams forward. We're leading up and down the ladder. Are there any other like kind of leadership evolutions that you are kind of standing in these days?
Yeah. I mean, I think one area that I'm fascinated right now is just about evolving myself as a learner. And,
Mm,
we're all facing a big, whole new world with AI ahead of us. And I
mm,
kept waiting for someone in my company. Like, I kept saying louder and louder and louder, like, we need to get on this. We need to da, 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 da. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, I'm going to have to do it. And so I signed up for a class at MIT on AI. And, here I am in my
mm,
50s. I'm going to go next month to Stanford to take a class on AI there. And I'm
mm,
going to become the best at it. And I was just talking to my son's soccer coach about this week because, these coaches are so fantastic at this. But like, how do you motivate a group of people to go do something? And, saying it louder and louder over and over
Who's gonna do
is not
it?
the way
Who's
to do
yeah,
it,
yeah.
and so I'm super excited about this, and just jumping out of my comfort zone and learning the stuff myself, and setting that example of how we're going to go and do this as a team, is super
Mm,
exciting to me.
mm,
And I think it's going to recreate our company in really new ways, and people are uncomfortable. And I think the old me would have been like, well, a mandate at that moment, like, well, I'm sorry you're uncomfortable. We have to do this, and here's why. And instead,
mm.
like, I'm really at the table with a group of people who are scared and concerned and confused, and we're talking about it. And, I'm engaging and letting them help, drive the way forward. And so I'm really excited.
I love that. So I hear a growth mindset, but what I also hear is you're able to stay in the rumble with people's discomfort and
Hmm.
helping them come over to whatever it is, because we don't really know what it
We don't
is.
know.
But it sounds like there's an invitation for others to join you, and that you're participating with them in the learning and not just saying, somebody come brief me on this. It's like, no, I want to. I'm sure you felt like we should learn AI fast, but they're also knowing you well enough. It's like, you know what? I freaking want to know about this. Like,
Oh,
what
yeah.
what can it do for us? Like, there's wild
Yeah.
curiosity in it, which I love. So I thank you for that.
Yeah, wild curiosity. I think that's
Mm,
the next chapter of my life. I love that.
I love that. Okay, in closing, we always sort of end this way. What is one should that you shed that you are so thankful that you shed in your life? Is there one that you can
Mhm.
just be like, oh, I'm so glad I shed that?
I always say my favorite piece of advice is to not take advice. And I think as that pertains to shoulds, it's like I really want to hear other people's lives experience and what they've been through, and how they learned from different things that came their way.
Mm,
But I love that you don't use the word should. I can't tell you how many times, especially as a female leader, you're in the room with someone and they're like, let me tell you what your problem is. And
hmm
I wouldn't be here today. I mean, listen, the restaurant industry is the worst industry to go into, and ice cream is the worst within the restaurant
Interesting.
industry. Like, if I asked anyone if I should do this, they would say, hell no. I think you know what you
Mm.
should be doing.
So tap into
You
your
should be
intuition.
doing your
Hmm
own shoulds,
Yeah.
versus other people's. And every time I haven't listened to that, and tried to perform or try something that I knew wasn't right, I've regretted it. And so just being really true to yourself and setting those boundaries, whether it's in your day to day life and how you're showing up and taking care of yourself, to the major
Mm.
decisions that you're making in your career. I think we learn that lesson over and over and over.
And it takes a lot of time when we don't listen to our intuition, and also like our lived, historical, like, I've learned this through my business
Yeah,
acumen that this is true. It takes
yeah.
us so much time to clean it up, like clean up on
I
aisle
mean,
three. I mean, like, oh
kind
God.
of.
Yeah.
And the probably the best thing that what has gotten me the furthest in my career are the times I've said no. And they're so scary. But,
Yes.
I know that wasn't the right thing for me and my company. And so I'm not going to do it, even though it's a huge opportunity or everyone else is doing it, or we could make a bunch of money if we did it. I know it's not the right thing for me and my company. And so we're going to say no. And all of those I can point back to now as being like really big, opened really big windows of opportunity for when the right thing came along.
And that's what I hear, that I think you as an entrepreneur, there's so much trust in yourself and in the team that you've surrounded yourself. We often say to women a no, or to people, but like for our clients, no is the most courageous thing that you can say, because it leaves so much room for the yeses. Even if you don't know what you are going to say yes to, it leaves spaciousness for possibilities abound. That you've said no to one thing creates space for who knows what.
That's right. And you're going to be eaten alive with all the things you're doing that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And it will not leave space for the things that really matter and the opportunities that you do want to take advantage of. So if it's not a hell yes,
it's a hard no. We love essentialism. Thank you, Greg McGowan. There's 3 other D's in there. If it's do and don't do, and 3 others in between. So you can tap into what we have to say about coaching in terms of essentialism. So Kim, I will let you go. You've got people to hire and kids to get into college. And well, you're not getting them in college. They're getting themselves into college.
Yes. Turns out we're not allowed to do that, right? We all learned that lesson.
Thank God. And I just appreciate you being in my life ever since 1999. I'm cheering and championing you on. Thank you very much. And carry on. Onwards, my dear girl. All right. Take care. Thank you. Okay. What an amazing story we've just gotten to hear of bringing an entrepreneurial idea to life from one little ice cream shop to a beautiful, socially engaged company with over 55 stores, and thinking about these ice cream tubs being flown all over the country on Alaska Airlines and internationally just makes my heart soar. Her advice to us, if you are having an idea that you'd love to bring to market or to your community, share it. Share it, share it, share it. Let people react to it. Let people respond to it. Share your idea and then accept their help. And then she would say that her mantra is do not overthink it. Don't boil the ocean just to get you started. Don't overthink. It's never going to be perfect. Get it into action. And then if you're having trouble getting into action, what today are you having trouble executing on? Name the one barrier and then remove that obstacle. And then have a plan. It can change. Have the North Star. You might do some left turns and some right turns, but you'll always be knowing you're going towards something. Before we go, I wanted to share a quick update with our Beyond Should community. As we wrap up June, we're going to be taking a short summer pause during the month of July. We've found that sometimes the most aligned thing we can do is to make space, to rest, to reflect, and create more room for what's next. So we're taking a little bit of time to do just that. But don't worry, we'll be back in August with brand new episodes and some incredible conversations that I cannot wait to share with you. We'll be kicking things off with guests Andrea Wetzel and Terry Weinberg, 2 women whose stories beautifully embody what this show is all about: questioning expectations, trusting yourself, and building a life that feels true to who you are, not who you think you should be. While we're away, this is the perfect time for you to catch up on any episodes you might have missed, revisit a conversation that resonated with you, or share the show with somebody who might need a reminder that there are many ways to build a meaningful life. So thank you for being a part of this community and for spending time with us. Every listen, every share, every rating, every message means more than you'll know. We'll see you back here in August with fresh conversations, new perspectives, and more stories of people moving beyond their should. Until then, take good care of yourself, stay curious, and keep asking what you truly want next in your life. Not what the world tells you should be doing, but what do you truly want next? We'll talk to you soon. Take care for now and happy summering. Bye. Beyond Should is creatively supported by a team of dynamic women. Thank you to our executive producer, Lauren LaGrasso, our producer, Daniela Silva, our marketing manager, Esty McInnes, and our TMC curriculum design director, Katie Craig. Without these women, we would not be able to bring you this dynamic content. Thank you. Thank you for listening to another episode of Beyond Should, just one of the many ways we are working to support women from all walks of life. And we know personally, and from what our clients are sharing with us on the daily, that this is a dynamic and challenging time we are living through. And if you are feeling frustrated or out of control with your current work situation or life in general, and feel like something is just waiting for you, just beyond your reach or clarity, but you can't put your finger on what it is, then perhaps you might consider taking on a coaching engagement with us at the Murmuration Collective. We are professionally trained and certified leadership, career, and life coaches. We support women like you to wade through the confusion and find what they are truly seeking in the next chapters of their personal and professional lives. Our contact details are in the show notes. We look forward to meeting you, hearing your story, and seeing how we might be able to support you further. Be well.